everybody? Welcome to the Hoops Rehab Show. Eric, I see that shirt. Go Dodgers.
Yeah, man. I know we're a football, basketball show. In particular, a whole lot of basketball today. But, man, don't you wish you were in Philadelphia tomorrow just to hear just that Philly press and sports talk? Man, they're going to be going bananas with obviously the Phillies and then the Eagles just laying an egg tonight. Oh,
yeah. Philly's going out. But then those Eagles, I told you about them Eagles. There's something wrong there. We found out tonight when they lost against the Giants. So, anyways, I am the game injury doc, aka Dr. Evan Jeffries. On my right is Eric B. Mack. We are the host of the Hoops Rehab Show. You can find us at our YouTube channel, the Hoops Rehab Show. So please hit the subscribe button if you're watching there live. We also have an Instagram that is the Hoops Rehab Show. So please follow that. And tomorrow you'll see the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. It is the Hoops Rehab Show. Please rate, comment, and subscribe so you can get on the auto download so you don't miss an episode. All right, Eric, are you ready to get this cracking? Because we are about, 12 days now away from NBA basketball, and we got some big news to cover today.
Yeah, ready for it. Some news that at least early on in the season for the purple and gold, it's gonna be interesting to see kind of how things turn out. But yeah, some question marks heading into the season for sure.
Yeah, and if you guys are on the live, either on YouTube or Twitter, please drop some comments if you have any thoughts about this NBA season or anything Laker related, because this will be a heavy Lakers show. But yeah, let's get this started. I wanted to really get into just the Lakers preseason, also just getting ready for the season. And before I kind of put the show together, one of the things I was going to talk about was Marcus Smart, because we found out some news today that he is dealing with Achilles tendinopathy. Eric, do you know the difference between a tendinopathy and a tendinitis?
I do not.
Okay. So just to break it down for everybody, a tendinitis of the Achilles tendon is when there's acute inflammation of the tendon. There's pain. There's usually pain with lengthening, pain with strengthening. That is something that acutely happens and it lasts for a certain period of time until the inflammation goes away. The tendinopathy is a chronic overuse type of injury. So inflammation has already happened, and there's been some degenerative changes into the Achilles tendon, and that is what we call a tendinopathy. Because what happens is months after having the tendinitis, it ends up, a lot of times that Achilles tendon will be thicker on the side that has the tendinitis, and you'll have these degenerative changes. So the tendon becomes a little thicker, a little stiffer, and movements just feel different. So there's times that you're having pain, and then some days that you're having good days. And that's what Marcus Smart kind of described. He's like, yeah, some days I feel really, really good. And then some days I'm like, ooh, that feels a little different. So those were kind of signs of concern for me kind of moving forward. What were your thoughts kind of when you heard Marcus Smart today?
Yeah, I mean, thanks for the breakdown. I mean, I obviously just hearing what it is, it doesn't sound good. It's not one of those injuries that is going to just, hey, rest for 2 or 3 weeks and you'll be good. It doesn't sound like that. It sounds like it's going to be pain tolerance. It sounds like you're probably going to have to miss some games, maybe back-to-backs. Be very, very cautious, kind of heading into the season. I mean, this is like just one of the reasons that we'll get into as while I'm optimistic about this upcoming season, I was definitely very cautiously optimistic because there are things that just need to fall into place. Health being one for kind of our veterans. And, so far, not so good, obviously. And just got to be thankful it's still only training camp and still a full season to go. But yeah, it to me, the way even you described it, right? I mean, it doesn't sound like something that even a month of rest will heal it. It kind of feels like.
Yeah, it's something that's not going to go away overnight, right? So this is something that he's going to have to manage throughout the season. Now, the concern obviously, when anybody ever hears Achilles, is the risk for a tendon rupture, especially what we saw in the playoffs the last last season. And you had obviously Jason Tatum go down, Damian Lillard go down, and then Tyrese Halliburton go down. And I would say, with the Tyrese's case, that was more because he had a calf injury, right? So there's less resistance of the calf there. So he's weaker in the calf, which caused the rupture. But in the case of like Damian Lillard, he had a tendonitis the year before. And it's something that, you can never guarantee that it's going to happen. Some people are not going to have ruptures. But one thing that we do remember with Damian Lillard is that he was off a couple weeks, right, because of the blood clot. So, and then him getting back into shape and then finally getting back into basketball shape was just harder at that time, and he didn't do as much. So that's kind of where the stress went to with his tendon. So it's not to say that for sure caused it, but it's likely one of the factors.
Yeah, I can see that. And I mean, just the way you would use Marcus Smart, like the type of player he is, it's not like he's just this, for example, just a shooter where it's like, okay, you just got to find a spot, hit shots. No, I mean, he's going to be guarding like the team's best player. He's going to have to be agile and move. And so those kind of things I think about. I'm like, damn, he's limits are probably going to be limited. I mean, I think that probably means he's not going to be starting most likely, I mean, unless they start him and kind of bring the hook real quick. But yeah, that's of course, when you hear anything about Achilles, you start thinking about that, God forbid, Achilles tear. So hopefully that is something that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But never know. And I guess we'll just kind of wait and see. It's one of these things. We'll see what I think that what's going to happen is like, we're going to see what we get from him the first half of the season, first 30, 40 games. And then Lakers are going to kind of have to decide, like, let's see where they're at in the standings. If they have a real shot at something, they may have to try to obviously make some moves still.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's for somebody that we're hoping is at least somewhat healthy. It's, it's not looking good, at least to start.
Yeah, and he's likely going to try to get some minutes in the preseason, so he's getting some game action, because going into the regular season without playing at all in the regular season is going to be difficult. But I think there's that balance that they're trying to figure out. Is it worth it to rush him back just to get him going, or are we talking about the long haul? Kind of similar to probably what they're doing with LeBron.
Yeah. I mean, like obviously with LeBron, he's he shut down for a little bit. Marcus Smart's not quite there, so hopefully he can get some minutes, just to kind of see where he's at, and because obviously if he doesn't play the preseason, you start him first couple games of the year.
Yeah.
That might not go so well, but yep. Hopefully they can get some game time. I don't know, something about the Lakers preseason for years now. They just are just awful in the preseason. I don't know what it is. Yeah. Doesn't really mean much, but it's like, man, like at least win a couple of games or like kind of make games close. It just feels like the last few years they've just been really bad in the preseason.
They look pretty terrible, but hopefully they can get a couple games with the starting lineup. But obviously Luke hasn't played either, so they're going to have to get some run with the starting lineup, because they do need to learn to play with each other, because they do have a different team. Obviously some players from the past, but we need to get these guys out there just to get some run there.
Absolutely. See what happens.
All right, guys. So the biggest news of the day is we found out what exactly LeBron was diagnosed with. Obviously, about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, they talked about he was having nerve irritation in the glutes. And I talked about on the show before, that's usually an indication of sciatica, because that's the biggest nerve in your body and the biggest nerve that kind of runs through your glutes. So the biggest thing now is that they said they put a timeline on it, and they said he's going to be out for 3 to 4 weeks regardless, right? They tried to say he was going to be out for preseason and he'll be ready for a regular season. But I think at this point, when knowing that you only have about 12 days to go, they have a good idea that he can probably play, obviously, the first game. So they need to try to get him as ready as possible for the longevity of the season. Now, when you think of just sciatica as a term, That essentially, it just means pain of a nerve pain from your sciatic nerve, right? And it's kind of a broad term because you don't exactly know where the pain is coming from. And that is the key with LeBron. Is it coming from his back? It could be coming from a disc bulge. It could be coming from, there's canals where the nerve goes through. And when you get a little bit older, which LeBron is, you get a thing called stenosis, which will narrow the canal, which will squeeze the nerve, which will cause that pain down into the buttocks or down the leg. So it could be a lot of things. And it also could be you have a muscle in your glute called the piriformis, which that can compress on the sciatic nerve. So there's multiple ways for this nerve to be injured or to be compressed. And that's what we kind of got to find out in order to realize how long he's really going to be out.
Do you think like they know where it's from? Is that something you can test and kind of see, or is it just tough to detect?
So sciatica in general, like there's tests that you can see if it's coming from the sciatic nerve. That's one that any physician, any physical therapist will be able to do a clinical test. But to know where the source is usually takes a MRI of the low back to see if there's any disc issues, any stenosis issues. And those are like the main type of imaging that you want to see. You also can get an x-ray and kind of see what's going on there too. But I would imagine that they know where it's coming from. They've probably done some imaging like an MRI or x-ray. I would be surprised if they haven't yet, right? Knowing that this is a nerve type of injury. Biggest concern with the nerve is it heals at a much, much, much slower rate than any muscle, tendon, ligament injury. So if you think about the sciatic nerve, it's the largest nerve in your body. And depending on how long it's been compressed, that determines how long that nerve is going to be injured. And the nerves will regenerate at about 1 to 2 millimeters per day. And a millimeter is pretty damn small. And that sciatic nerve is pretty big. So it just depends on how much compression he's actually had on the sciatic nerve.
Wow. Yeah, great analysis. I mean, all that it screams at me, even though he's like in phenomenal shape for, not even for his age, anybody that plays, in the league. But it just year 23, going to be 41 in December, obviously a lot of basketball miles. That all just kind of sounds like it just adds up to, man, hopefully it's not hopefully a big portion of the nerve is not affected, because that means a lot of days to get it back to rejuvenation. But yeah, for this season, they're thinking the long haul, and obviously it'd be great to have them opening night, and everybody loves opening night of the NBA. It's kind of kicks off the season, and then you just kind of get into the kind of regular season mode. But yeah, it's one of these, I guess, kind of mysteries until we get a little bit more detail on how bad it actually is.
Yeah. And to be honest, it's more now thinking of what caused LeBron to get sciatica.
That's what I was thinking.
And, there's many reasons this could happen. We don't know everything that he did in the offseason. But we do know one thing that he started picking up in the offseason. And that is golf, Eric. He said he picked it up July 2nd, which is actually my birthday. And from that point on, he seemed to be playing like at least 3 to 4 times a week. It seemed like he was playing a lot. I don't know how much exactly he was playing, but he said he was going full-fledged into golf. Now, anybody that goes into a new sport, especially golf, which is a repetitive motion that constantly you're rotating onto one side and you're bringing it back, rotating to the other side, and you're going to do that over and over and over. If you're playing 18 holes, that is a lot of motion. That's a lot of shots. And that, in my practice and all my years of practicing as a physical therapist, I've seen a lot of cases of low back issues from golfers. That's like the number one thing that I see from golfers. And a lot of nerve issues are coming from the sciatic nerve because of the motion that they are using in golf, right? And if you don't have all the hip mobility, or if you're doing something and you haven't done it before and you get full-fledged into it and you do something 4 to 5 times a week, yes, this can cause a back issue or a sciatic issue. So I'm not saying 100% that this is caused by golf, but can it be a factor? 100% it can be a factor.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something? And I'm sure it wouldn't. Probably would. It would be hard to admit, but this summer has been so interesting, to say the least, for LeBron. And part of it is him playing and taking up golf, which is great. Sounds like a great, kind of retirement sport. And I mean, I know a lot of ball players. They are very active with golf. Steph Curry is, and Austin Reeves is. But I know those guys that, like you said, they've probably been playing a long time. And from what it sounds like, LeBron just picked up some clubs, July 2nd. And I mean, maybe he's played in the past, but yeah, if he's like just jumping right into it and just doing it every day, going 18 almost every day, man, wouldn't that be something if that's what's hindering him to start the year?
Yeah. And, this was obviously a weird offseason for him, because if you guys remember,
Right.
He ended the season with a torn MCL, or a grade 2 sprain of the MCL, which is a partial tear of it. So he had to rehab that first, right, for the first 2 months. And so he wasn't doing any basketball activity really then. And then at some point he picked up golf, right? So he's still not doing much basketball activity, and then finally picked up some basketball, obviously tried to get going. And then now he has the nerve issue. So it's hard to say what caused this. And, he is, getting older, right? He's 40, turning 41 this year. And, 23 seasons, trying to pick up a new sport that's repetitive. It can be difficult on the body, is one thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. It can be overstated. Like he's doing things that will probably never be done by someone that's in year 23 in this age. But I mean, at the end of the day, he is that age, and it doesn't always happen gracefully with folks, like with athletes, professional athletes. Sometimes you just kind of hit a wall. And not saying he has, we're not even near saying that. Haven't even, he hasn't even stepped on the court, but it just starts to make you think like all these like little things. Like, I mean, he did have like a lot of growing, he had the growing issue last year, and I know he had it your first year with us. 1 year was like the ankle, 1 year was the foot. Granted, some of it have been like kind of freak plays, but this is just kind of the newest, quote unquote type of injury that he has. And so, again, it's a grind, 82 game season, hopefully about 20 playoff games or so, 20, 25 playoff games. It is not, for the faint at heart. So we'll see. It's a long way to go, but hopefully they have the right kind of process, and I'm sure they know what they're doing, but no sense in rushing him back.
Yeah, and you got to look out for the longevity of the season. Obviously, you want to be in the playoffs. So this is something that he's going to have to deal with. And it's not something that is likely going to go away overnight. It's something that he's going to have to probably manage throughout the season. So that'll be the interesting thing, because once he starts playing, will this come back? Will he be able to manage it throughout the season? And, we had that episode before where we were talking about, is he going to retire? And in my opinion, I thought in the first 2 to 3 months, he'll know whether or not his body can take it. Like he'll get to a point where getting up every day is so difficult. And nerve injuries are absolutely one of the worst, because they have so much pain. And there's some days that are good days and some days that you literally just can't walk because of the nerve pain. So hopefully it's not into that point being that severe. But I did want to just show a couple golf videos, because you kind of look at what we were talking about, the difference in how he has to rotate with his hips. And sometimes when you're a novice at golf, you don't exactly rotate your hips as well. So I'll play a couple just to kind of get that idea for the audience here.
Motherfucker. That's a motherfucking shot, nigga. Shit.
Yeah, everybody's seen that one, because that's a meme right there. But when you kind of look at this video right here, and you see just in general how he has to rotate his hips and the repetitiveness of that's what he has to do. And it's his right side that's affected. So that right side has to just be able to rotate this way every single time. So that causes a torque on the back. And especially when you're beginning, a lot of people side bend and rotate, which causes like compression on the disc or compression on the spine, which could lead to a sciatic issue.
Yeah, it's you saw those golf swings, and I'm sure he, did that probably like hundreds and hundreds of times this summer. And so you can see with what it's like, your body's not used to that motion, regardless of being in like tip-top shape, as I mentioned. I can see how it could have an effect, because it's just a motion that's like a little unusual compared to playing basketball or just like everyday, motions you have. So yeah, it's
for sure.
We'll see. I'm sure he's gonna probably. Well, I don't know. I'm thinking he's gonna put a pause on golf for a bit. Hopefully,
I would imagine there will be.
He retires for that.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Eric. So that gets us into our next topic. And honestly, what do you think the Lakers do from here on out? And what does the beginning of the season kind of look like for them?
Actually, I want to. Can I post this? What does Cam say that all he needs to do?
Yeah. Just give him. Go ahead.
Hey Cam, what's going on? Yeah, that's right. Just give him some Hennessy, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a play on the decision part 2.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, obviously he had the advertisement with the decision, and he wasn't retiring. But it's kind of odd that this news came out right after that too. So interesting timing.
Yeah. Anyways, what we're saying. So just for the Lakers, right? Kind of what does it mean? I mean, I know early in this, I guess, a few weeks before the preseason, the training camp started, we had looked at the early schedule, and I mean, no stretches, or no, I think it was when the schedule came out. There's no stretch that's easy, but we kind of thought it would be important, just what the teams are playing against. Sure, there are some tough ones that the Lakers did kind of get off to a quick start. Obviously, that's thinking and hoping that you're somewhat healthy to start a season. Obviously, they're still going to have Luka. They're still going to have some guys. But, I don't know. I could just see it probably stretching a little, maybe longer than 3 to 4 weeks. Maybe he misses the first 10 games or so. I'm still looking, though, for them to kind of have a decent quick start, right? Maybe 9-6 in the first 15, 10-5, something like that. I think it's still important to kind of lead to the rest of the season.
Yeah. And, if you look at timeline, right? So they said he's going to be out at least 3 to 4 weeks. And that's more, he's going to be out 3 to 4 weeks before they reevaluate.
Right.
Whenever you see 3 to 4 weeks reevaluation, you still got to tack on another week or two, because he's going to have some sort of ramp up period.
I'm counting. So let's just say November. I'm going to say November 9th, right? That's
so that'd be 4 weeks.
Right? So they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So yeah, they would have already played 10 games.
Yeah.
On November 9th.
Yeah. So he's gonna likely that only puts him at what? So what are we? We are the 9th. So that's what, 4 weeks there?
Yeah, I mean it's a month, but a little over 4 weeks, I guess.
1, 2, 3, 4. And then that you look at, does he need another week at least to ramp up? So that puts you at what, November 12th, 10th.
You're on the road there.
So yeah, you're missing the road trip. Yeah, the big road trip there. So you're missing probably likely, somewhere in between 10 to 15 games to start the season. Just based on his timeline already before he gets reevaluated, and then likely that ramp up period right there.
Yeah, I'd kind of keep an eye on like Tuesday, November 18th, home against Utah, because then they have a break until Sunday. So that could be kind of a landing spot if all goes well. Yeah. So it's might be like 15-20% of the season right there. So, which again, like I'd rather have him take this time off than another injury in March, you know? So
yeah. And we talked about the schedule like when it was first released, and that first, 15, 18 games were a lot of winnable games because they were playing against the majority of those were non-playoff teams, right? So
Right.
you had the Sacramentos, you had, Portland, you have, you put Memphis, Miami, Portland again, and San Antonio. Atlanta was in there in the play-in,
should be decent.
but a lot of play-in and
New
non-playoff teams. So that is still a good thing for Lakers squad, because if they can get some wins against these teams, that'd be a good thing without LeBron. What are your thoughts on a Luka-led team to start the season?
I don't think long term, right? They're gonna have to. It is gonna be a Luka led team long term, and they'll have to get some players that'll kind of fit his skill set. I think Luka has led teams like this for almost all of his years in Dallas, where I feel like they've even like overachieved quite a bit just because of his greatness, to be honest. And so I think they're going to lean on that. I think they're still going to be pretty decent and have be in games and have a decent record, just because he has shown in Dallas that it's really been before getting Kyrie. Was Luka and all the others, and that's kind of what it's going to be here. There are some new pieces, obviously, with Ayton, Marcus Smart, who we alluded to, obviously Jake Laravia, right? But yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's one of the reasons you get him, because he's our guy, and obviously, if it was like the AD and LeBron Lakers, I'd be like, oh yeah, we're going to be toast for the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
But since it is Luka, I still like our chances on a lot of those games. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, I honestly have been telling you that I feel like there's been a switch, and there's been a totally different vibe this preseason and training camp, and one with Luka trying to lead the team environment and kind of being the host of things, taking his players' places. He did the Porsche event, right? He gave away Luka's shoes, right, to everybody on the team. So I think there's been this torch that has been passed. And obviously that started with the offseason with him signing an extension and LeBron not getting an extra year, right? That's kind of what he wanted. So I think this is his time to kind of put a stamp on the beginning of his Lakers career. And I think it's no better time to do it than the beginning of the season. Right. And if we can get some wins and kind of get some momentum going into it, icing on the cake if you get LeBron back and healthy and ready to go for the rest of the stretch of the season.
Yeah, no, definitely. He's in tip-top shape, it looks like, from what we see. Hopefully he can get some preseason run. Yeah, you can totally tell how just things are kind of gradually, or maybe not so gradually. You can tell it's Luka's team. He signed the extension. He's doing just a lot for the team, going to concerts, taking his team out for test driving Porsches and the shoes, like you said. And so kind of all that off the court stuff, and then kind of turning into the leader. And so, yeah, I think, like I said, they'll still be pretty good. I think for them to be a contender, make it at least to the Western Finals and see what happens, they will need a pretty good LeBron, type of player and season. And so, but for the early, part of it, I think they'll be all right.
Yeah, for sure. Now, who do you think is going to start for LeBron? Like, is there a player that you have in mind, or is this going to be something that's going to have to be worked out in the beginning of the season?
Well, I mean, so we know, right? So Rui, Austin, Reeves, Luka, and then DeAndre Ayton, right? I mean, that's you pretty much with those four there. I don't know. I mean, are you thinking like a Laravia?
Bingo.
Perhaps.
Yeah, I think he's going to slide into, because he's that size, right? Like he's the tweener between a small forward, kind of power forward in today's game, right? And he's from all that's been shown and some of the videos and tape that's been shown and things like that, he's a pretty good defender. So I think at least you're adding that element of a young guy that can shoot the three and that can also defend. Now, Marcus Smart, would it be great to have him in there? Yeah. But we just don't know if he's 100% in order to kind of be in there. So,
yeah.
And then the other option, I would say the only other option would be probably Vanderbilt. And
probably the only other.
I like him as a defender. I just don't know how much I like him next to Ayton, starting at the 5 and the 4.
Yeah, you got it, because you got to you can use him for his versatility and his aggressiveness and his defense and things like that, because you are perhaps lacking a little bit on defense there. But yeah, you also got to look at who he's on the floor with, and having him and Ayton out there. I mean, it's just really not much of a threat offensively. And so you gotta score the ball. So yeah, that was a thought too. Marcus Smart would have been a thought, because we were talking about him maybe even potentially starting just in general. But with the news of his injuries, he's not going to be there every game. I mean, we can say that now. So you may as well get some continuity with the starters versus somebody that's probably going to maybe miss every few games, a game. So, yeah, we'll see. Obviously, I don't think JJ is going to be afraid to make changes, right? If he has a starting unit the first couple of games and they get out the slow starts, he might, tinker with it a bit. But it being so early in the season, it's probably not going to get too desperate and make changes every single game. Probably kind of stick with some starting 5. And so yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it is Jake taking that spot.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see. Hopefully, we'll find out in some of the upcoming preseason games, just getting Luka in there, and so we at least have a lineup there of what the potential starting lineup would be. Yeah, I like it to see. I want to see how it looks with Jake right in there. I think that could be dynamic for them. And I think obviously Marcus Smart is going to play a lot of minutes regardless, so he could more than likely be finishing games. You'll have Marcus Smart finishing games there.
Yeah, you could, exactly. It's kind of sometimes that where you start, who finishes, and so with Marcus Smart, and then you'll play a little bit of Gabe Vincent. We'll see Maxi Kleber how I know he was a little banged up too. But yeah, I don't know. I know we talked about it before, but I really truly think Dalton Connect is kind of odd man out, huh?
Yeah, it's sad that we don't even talk about him as a potential player, even rotational player. He's pretty much on that 12th man and above at this point. And they have a lot of injuries, to be honest. So you would think he would be falling in there somewhere. But I do think he needs to stay ready, because at this point, if you don't have LeBron for a month, you for sure are going to need somebody to play and kind of step into that bench role as well. So he's got to stay ready at all times.
Yeah, it's going to be up to him. I think he is going to get opportunities. I mean, it's the NBA. We know people are going to be in and out of the lineup. He will get opportunity. It's just kind of what he does with it. And he showed flashes last year, man. He really did. After that trade that didn't go through, it just really turned south for him. And so hopefully he kind of got over that, because we need him to play well, because we're trading him. So we got to get him to at least look decent out there. Come on.
Oh, cold-blooded.
It's just a reality. Right. But anyways.
So we got a little comment here from, it looks like Mission 24.
Oh.
I'm getting close to being okay with waving and stretching Braun at this point. Questionable if he's invested in our Lakers. Now, I think it's a little bit of overreaction there, Mission 24. Obviously, LeBron has been invested with the Lakers. He's been there for quite some time. He's won a championship. I do think going into this season, there is a different tone, a different vibe from LeBron, from LeBron's camp, and then from the Lakers. feeling like this is it as far as a season. And you could tell early on when Rich Paul kind of made that statement that Lakers have to, he said, basically warned them that they need to be overly cautious with LeBron. And then at some point, they said he's going to be shut down. JJ Redick had a kind of interesting answer to a question. Is he said LeBron's on his timeline, and this is right before this kind of news broke. So that was, to me, that was kind of interesting and telling that he's saying LeBron is on his own timeline, not the Lakers' timeline. So to me, you read the tea leaves, read whatever you want, but I do think that this is just different going into this year. I don't doubt he's going to be committed to the Lakers. I just doubt that there's just a different philosophy of that right now.
Yeah, I mean, with Mission 24's thoughts, I mean, I think it's probably there's a lot of people in that camp. I mean, let's be honest. Are the Lakers? I don't think the Lakers are really invested in LeBron right now, and vice versa, right? LeBron, I mean, he's done a lot of things in the summer to kind of show that he's not, and I think it's because we know it's wrapping up. Like, I don't know if it's going to be his last season. I think it is. Maybe he plays another year somewhere. I mean, it gets complicated, of course. We'll see what happens. But, hey, Mission 24 is like, I'm tired of the drama. It's going to be probably like just talked about all year. And I can see your point there, but I think just realistically, and you may know that too, that it's just, they're probably not going to do that. It'd be a lot of money on the books, and there's just, why, stretch him, why like stretch the contract further than it has to go by waiving him. Right. And so, I see what you mean though. Cause there are a lot of people in that camp, but I'm for like, you know what, let's just give it one more season. Let's see like a Luka LeBron team with, I guess they're not going to, I was going to say getting a training camp and everything, which is not going to happen, but at least just a little bit more time on the court, hopefully, whether if it's like on and off, getting to know each other and things like that. So we'll see, man. It's like I said, I think both of us have thought to be very optimistic, but even more so cautiously, optimistic, because it's injuries that we're talking about, and they can happen to anybody. But in particular, when you have like a couple older guys on the team, including your 23 LeBron.
Yeah. I think we just need to appreciate what we see here. I mean, nobody's ever been in 23rd season. LeBron's going to enter that. I just can't believe this would be his first opening night ever missed. And the fact that he's actually missing it, to me, that's huge. Because I feel like he would try to play no matter what. And he really knows that, like, he literally just can't. And so that, to me, that just raises more concern, because I just don't think, like, LeBron would never want to miss an opening night, especially when he's making history. 23rd season. This is like history, right? So to the fact that he's actually missing it means how serious the actual injury is.
Yeah. Didn't think about that. It's been 22 straight years of him being healthy to start the season. And he must be pretty hurt if he's not. I do hope that it's also just being very cautious and not coming back too early and playing a week and then like it getting re-aggravated or something. And then he's out the like month and a half that he was going to be out right anyways or something. Right. So I can see both sides of it, but it is fascinating that year 23, he won't be out there to start.
Yeah. Sucks to see, because, last year he made history, obviously, with Bronny going in, be the first father-son duo there in the NBA. So it could have been another history night where it's like number 23 in season 23, and eventually it's going to happen. It just would have been cool on opening night when I'm going to be in the building. So,
very nice. Golden State.
Yep.
But cool, man.
Yeah. So, Eric, good show. You got any other thoughts on the Lakers, or does that pretty much wrap it up for you?
Wraps it up. Hopefully we'll get some more news as the weeks come. But that's about it. Hopefully just freaking get healthy, man. It's all I could ask for is a healthy type season, and just let the chips fall wherever they may be.
100%. Yeah, we're going to be ramping up our NBA coverage and our hoops coverage as the season gets going. But until then, the Hoops Rehab team is out, and everybody have a good night. Peace out.
Peace out, everybody.